Welcome, everyone, to my channel. If you've been here before, you know the drill, and if you haven't, pull up a seat, sit down. We're going to talk about Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. So, I've been listening to the audio for the last 2 days. Or is it 3? No, I think it's 2. Maybe it's 3. I don't know. All I know is I've been listening to it, okay? I'm like 17% of the way through. Hold on, let me see. Okay, well, I gotta look, okay, because my brain is dumb, and I don't remember shit. Hoopla, work, hoopla, work, hoopla, work. 26% of the way through the book. Yeah, so. Wait, hold up. 26 of the way through the book. So 3 days. I've been listening to this for 3 days, okay? Because I'm about 3 hours in. And let me tell you, this thing starts off with an almost bang, okay? An almost bang. Definitely an almost bang, okay? By almost bang, I mean like the first couple of chapters is her talking to Brennan, and them figuring out what they need to do, whether they need to return back to Bethesda or not. But I forgot to read the back list. I'm a little too excited, okay? Just a little too excited about this, okay? I've been dying to read this since I've read Fourth Wing. No, got into Iron Flame. I'm so excited. Okay, so everyone expected Violet Sorrengail to die during her first year at Bethesda War College, Violet included. But threshing was only the first impossible task meant to weed out the weak-willed, the unworthy, and the unlucky. Now the real training begins, and Violet's already wondering how she'll get through. It's not just that it's grueling and maliciously brutal, or even that it's designed to stretch her capacity for pain beyond endurance. It's a new vice commandant who's made it his personal mission to teach Violet exactly how powerless she is, unless she betrays the man she loves. Although Violet's body might be weaker and frailer than everyone else's, she still has her wits and a will of iron, and leadership is forgetting the most important lesson Bethesda has taught her. Dragon riders make their own rules. But her determination to survive won't be enough this year, because Violet knows the real secret hidden for centuries about Gaia's War College, and nothing, not even Dragonfire, may be enough to save them in the end. Dun dun dun! Okay, so back to what I was saying. Brennan doesn't think it's a good idea for them to return, but it's the best for them because they need the Illuminary and the alloy that makes the daggers that can hurt and kill the venom. So they have to go back. So that means 8 people go back. Alright. 8 people go back, and there's a lot that goes on in this. A lot of shit. And you also learn that he goes by a different name too. Lieutenant Colonel Acerre? I think that's how you say it. I don't remember. Anyways, that's what he goes by. And of course, Andarna becomes a moody teenager. And then she has to sleep for 2 months, so that way she can become a non-moody teenager and become a fully grown adult, and her skills are black. And her lightning is still as uncontrollable as fucking ever when she's angry. You also learn that Brennan's dragon, Marb. Okay. There's that. And she's wondering about the Wardstone, because Wardstone, Arisha has its own Wardstone. So she's wondering if the Wardstone in Arisha can be used to extend borders and protect the people with them. Which would be an excellent thing if they could do that. So now she's trying to learn all she can while she's up with Sky about the wards, so that way she can get one up and running in Arisha. So Syrian, Aya, and Mason. Those are 3 of the ones that she didn't know the names of. So they have to make this plan. They go back, and they go first to Liam's room, because there's letters that Liam has been writing to his sister throughout the year that he wants his sister, Sloane, to get. So she goes in there, she finds them, she brings them out, and she gives them to Rhiannon because Rhiannon doesn't believe in the whole burning of everybody's possessions either. And so she says, keep these safe, please, for me. And of course, that's when they realize that Liam is officially dead, unlike a lot of other people. Like, and of course, she's like, Violet's like, I need you to be honest with me, full disclosure, everything I ask about you need to tell me. And he's like, I'm going to tell you about myself, but I can't tell you everything because leaders have secrets and I need to keep secrets. They're important. So when they go out for the roll call, the death roll call that they do every morning, they say Garrett Travis and Zayden Ryerson, and he's like, well, this is awkward. And, I mean, Garrett's there, obviously. He's still very much the fuck alive, and so isn't Zayden. So, yay, there we go. So, Commander and Panchake's like, I thought you were all dead. Well, not Commander and Panchake. Captain Fitzgibbons is like, you're not dead? He's like, apparently not. So, they tell their little lie about how they were on their way to their post. Why were they reported on the death toll by General Sorrengail? They've been missing for 6 days. We should have reported them for desertion and dereliction of duty. You want to report us for desertion? You sent into the combat and you're going to report us for desertion. Who's Tama? So they went to 8th Bine for the 4th Wings War Games. And when they stopped, they said that when they stopped at the riot at the nearest lake past the wards, they were attacked by griffins, and that's how Day and Fuel were taken down, and they took the riders with them, of course, Liam and Soleil. And then he almost lost Sorrengail. Of course, Colonel Atos accuses he's lying, because obviously he knows exactly what happened. So General Sorrengail's like, Sorrengail, tell me the truth. And she's like, it's all true. And then, of course, Colonel Atos is like, he's lies. They're lying. There's no way two dragons can be drowned by a drift of griffins. Impossible. We should separate them and interrogate them. And then the general is like, I hardly think that's necessary, and I would already consider your insinuation that Sorrengail isn't truthful. So she tells us the selective lies that they have done about how she held Liam and they died because there was nothing they could do for him once day passed. And before the battle was even cold, I was stabbed with a poison-tipped blade. Well, that's sort of true. And then they talked about how they had a missive when they got to the outpost that they're supposed to go to that told them that they could either not sure what an outpost deserted, and a note for the wings was choose to watch over a nearby village or race to Eltov. He said, I chose to save your daughter. Of course, that's what he did. Took us days to find someone capable of healing me, though I don't remember being healed. And they asked about the body, and she was like, Sorrengail wouldn't know. She was delirious from the poison. Which is very true. She was very delirious from it. And her mom's like, the general's like, enough! Because they're going back and forth and shit. This is your handwriting to Colonel Atos. You emptied a particularly invaluable outpost beyond the wards for war games? He's like, it was only for a few days. You told me the games were a magician, and clearly your discretion lacks common fucking sense. Of course, she knows there's venom outside the wards. She knows what actually happened, that they fought at Resin, and that they fought venom. She knows this, but she's not going to say nothing because she can't out everybody for there being venom, because it's considered a fairy tale and that they don't exist, obviously. And she's extremely pissed at Colonel Atos for putting her daughter in that situation. And the only thing she can do is reassign Colonel Atos. So that's what she does. She reassigns Colonel Atos, but Colonel Atos puts somebody else in their place. And I think it's a worse decision so far. Because, shit happens. Dane, of course, tries to go up to her and is like, you're alive! We heard. You're the one who sent her off to her death. You're the one who said to her as she was fucking leaving, I'm going to miss you. You knew she was going to die. Why would you even sit there and pretend like you didn't think she was going to die? Of course she didn't die, but that's besides the point. Dane, you the fucking asshole who sent her to her death. proclaiming that you were friends with her. Bitch, please. So, while they're walking into formation, that's when Dane approaches her, and she's like, touch me and I swear to the gods, I'll cut your fucking hands off and let the coordinates sort you out in the next round of challenges, Dane Atos. Violence indeed. Yeah, well, she's very violent, and, people get that. So, they're of course hoping that Atos doesn't become their wing leader. Well, everyone who was at Resin, the rest, they don't really care. So they made it. Yay, they're gonna live. That's the fun thing, So they're getting drunk, they're talking about shit, and then of course Violet realizes that Zane's going to the southernmost outpost outside of the wards because they're dicks. They're trying to kill him. That's when they meet Vice Commandant Major Varish, and that he's leaving. Colonel Atos is going away, and they hand out missives, which of course say that they are given 2 days of leave once every 14 days to fly return directly to and from Segal's current duty station or location. Any other absence from classes will be considered a punishable offense. And so, of course, he's also got one for that. So that means they can only see each other for every 7 days, and for a couple of hours. It will be unbearable. So, yeah. I don't understand why they think the dragons are actually going to allow that to happen for very long, because the dragons don't really need them. They can withdraw right into into the Veil and just let the world burn. They don't need to be out there fighting the venom. They can just let the world freaking burn, and they're not. So I don't know why you think you can push them the fuck around, and I don't know why they're letting them do it in the first place, but there's that. And then the quote that Colonel Atos tells Xaden and Violet is, secrets make for poor leverage. They die with the people who keep them. That doesn't bode well for anything. Of course, that also means that, he's threatened Mira's life if Violet says anything about what happened while they were missing, which is, And then they find out that Atos is their new wing leader, and Sienna moved up to being executive officer of the section, and that Rhiannon is the squad leader. Yay! Squad leader Mateus to live. Her first order is to live. Okay. They have their first RCS meeting, which is, what is it? Rider Survival Course. And basically what it is to survive if you become separated from your dragon behind enemy's line, which includes torture. Oh, I forgot to highlight that. Carolyn Ashton. She took over for, I think she's going to become a dick, an asshole, or whatever to everything, because she was Jack Barlow's friend. And of course, Jack Barlow is, beyond dead. Good fucking riddance, Jack fucking Barlow. So I don't know if she's going to become something like what Jack Barlow was to Violet or not. We haven't gone that far, so we'll see. And then they find out about more things about certain places. They find out that he was supposed to arrive at this point. Zane was supposed to come, and he hadn't. But then they find out, where is it? Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. She goes to the scribe court after Professor Grady's class, the RSC, the Rider Survival Course, to go to the library where Jacinia is, Cadet Nailwort. And she asked for 2 books on histories about the wards, about why they set up in Bathgaias instead of Caldir. So she's got the books. Conscription Day happens, And that's where they meet, see a bunch of people. And they're the ones taking the roll calls on the side before they get to the parapet, where they have to walk across the parapet. And they meet a dude who remains nameless. And he literally pushes off a person. Yeah. He, literally pushes a scrawny red-haired candidate over the parapet, like Jack Barlow did. So, I like how Rihanna says Jack Barlow Jr. Then the next one of them that comes up, she says Cam. And then he says his name is Eric Greycastle. But Dane and Violet know that Cam is actually the king's son, and he's actually going into the writer's course. King Taru's third son. So, yeah, okay. And then Salone Maria. She gets with an E on the end. So, she's she gets extremely pissed when she finds out that's Violet Sorrengail, because she's like, I hate you because it was your fault that my brother is dead. Of course, Violet believes it's her fault too, but it was Liam's decision to do what he did because he was following the orders of Xaden, which was to protect Violet. Okay, so Liam's little sister. So she gives her a few tips, like tie your hair back in a braid. It would be best because the wind is obviously going to whip out her hair and probably blind her on the parapet, because she was told by Liam, hey, will you take care of my sister? And she's like, I will do that. And then she's talking about arms out for balance. Don't let the wind sway your steps. Keep your eyes on the stones ahead of you and don't look down. If the pack slips, ditch it. Better lose it than your life. And she's like, you got my brother killed. And she's like, I know, I'm sorry. Just go. And she does do what Violet suggests in the end, which is good because she made it. But that's 71 candidates that did not. Okay. Salone gets called to the first wing, but then Dane, of course, who knows that she wants to protect Violet, puts Violet into his wing, and she's like very pissed off about it because Salone does not want to be in it. And Mari's like, Rihanna's like, I don't give a shit what you want. I tell you to get information. I'm not asking, cadet. You do it. So, while they're done getting information, the dragons come down, they're like being all threatening, scaring off those who are too weak-willed, and 3 runners. You get 3 runners, right? So, the orange dragon, which is, of course, Varish's dragon, is there. It's one-eyed, and she's asking about Varish's dragon, and he's like, Solas is there? He says, do not take your eyes off him. And it's a good thing she did, because she saw which way the dragon was extending itself out to blow fire to kill off the runners. He goes over 4th wing and basically knocks out almost all of their 3rd years in 4th wing, including Sierra, who was one of the 8 that came back. That's fucking terrible. Okay, so the only reason why a lot of them did survive is because when he opened up his throat, Violet yelled, get down, and a bunch of them got down. Violet's back got seared because of sheer covering over Salone and, protecting her, because obviously she really does take the whole keep my sister safe for Liam very seriously, because even though Liam's not there and Salone hates her, she's like, I'm gonna fucking keep this the first year alive because it's what Liam wanted. Of course, this pisses Tyrion off. Tyrion literally shows up pissed off fuck off. And he is extending his wings out, knocking off rows of stone. And he's sitting there looking at the dragons, extending his neck, saying, "You do not have the right to burn what is mine." And then he roars so fucking loudly. And when he extends his neck, snapping his jaws, his teeth, loudly in Soleil's direction, Soleil lets loose a short, rasping snarl, then leaves. "I think he's got the message," she says to Taryn. And Taryn's like, "If Soleil comes near you again, he knows I will devour his human whole and let him rot within me while his heart still beats, and then I'll take the eye I so graciously left him." So, he literally has beef with Solis. I guess, I think Solis thinks he's a big bad, and no threat to, Taryn's no threat to him. But Taryn proves, once again, why he's the baddest, he's the biggest, and he's the most dangerous fucking dragon around. You don't fuck with him or his rider. Of course, Varsh is glaring at Violet like she told Taryn to do it. You can't really command dragons to do whatever the fuck you want them to do. They are the most unpredictable buxom bastards in the world, and you think Violet can control Taryn? Taryn controls her. He does what she needs to do to keep her from getting in trouble with, the War College, but he literally, no. You don't want her doing certain things. Like, she's going, "I gotta learn how to, do these rollings off of your wings to get onto the ground." And he's like, "Fuck no, you'll break every bone in your body doing that. You ain't practicing that second year maneuver." But she's like, "I got to." She's also started running in the morning because she knows for a fact that if the Venom tried to do the whole sucky thing out of the ground that they did that got Soleil killed, that she would not be fast enough for that, so she's got to get faster. So Imogen sits there and decides to join her in that. So, now there's only 7 that came back, and I'm hoping, beyond hope, that, no more die. But this is Rebecca Yarros. More people are gonna fucking die. So, Xaden is supposed to show up in between this time and the time she goes to her next class, which is, Battle Breathe. Okay? But he hasn't shown up. And that's when she finds out that, of course, Professor Devar talks about how they were attacked in the southern wing, where Xaden has been outpost to. Obviously, of course, they're covering for things, but of course, they're also saying that, they've killed up that the Griffins are killing off people, but they're not killing the Drifts. The Griffins are not killing civilians. They're trying to raid for armor and stuff for the Venom, because that's what they're fighting the fuck against, So there's that. So the next one is assessment day. I forgot to get Professor Imatero's name. Baylor nurses and Miss 11, whoever the fuck they are, as well. So there's like a lot going on and everything right now. But like that one, the whammy of, because I listened to that yesterday, with the whammy of in the morning, Taryn fucking breathing fire on, not breathing fire, but, Solis, breathing fire and almost, frying Violet, but frying a lot of the third years as well. Whoo, boy, and Taryn getting really pissed off about that. It's like, whoo, baby. There's that. And then I got another whammy, which is about the whammy happen right here that I'm about to tell you about, okay? So, Salome gets called to go against Eric, she's like, she's like, I want her instead, and points a dagger at Violet. And they're like, nope. Well, he's like, I know who trained her, and I'm not unleashing her on a first year. I too made an error last year. Now disarm and take your place against Grey Castle. And then his voice comes out, do someone say Sorengale? And Nadine steps up and says, hi, I'm Violet Sorengale. See, like my hair. Do you have a message for her? And he grabs her hold of her head and twists, snapping her neck. So there goes Nadine. Nadine's dead. Siren dead. Nadine's dead. Over 70 people dead. Probably like 80 now. Nobody interferes. I'm Violet Sorengale. And then they go at it. She cuts his tendons in the back of his leg, but he comes and pulls her down, and he's starting to choke her. And then she just stabs him in the kidney and kills him. And before he dies, he says, secrets die with the people who keep them. And she realizes it's Atos, okay? And when she goes to stand up, after the fight and everything, struggling to breathe, of course, because she was being choked, Dane tries to help her out, and she's like, don't touch me. And, Matthias and Hendrik are to take the bodies, which is Nadine, and of course, that first year that Violet killed, Immaterial asks if he can touch her. She consents to him. He wants her to skip the session because she's just been choked, strangled. And she's like, I'm staying. And I kind of read ahead a little bit, and I'm doing it again, stop at it. Where she sits there and tells Imogen that Atos sent him, I think we're being targeted. I mean, obviously you are being targeted, because Siren is already dead. And now someone's come and try to kill you, Violet. First year at that, too. Oh boy, some shit hits the fucking fan, like, I mean, Of course, my sister, who has already officially read and listened to the audible of this, says that it's going to pick up and get faster pace, and a lot more people are going to fucking die. But I mean, like, what? What do you mean a lot more people going to die? We have, how many pages is this? 637 pages out of this, and I'm only 103 pages in. You telling me that 534 pages more of people dying? Like, fuck, shit. Oh, I am, as you can see, so excited to be listening to the audible of this. I will finish this before the month is over with. I am telling you that now. It's a 0% not good. It's gonna happen. Okay, it's totally gonna happen. I have listened to more of Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Okay, there is some great things going on in my life. Excuse me, that was impolite. So yeah, I did. Atos is sending things after them. They're being targeted, and it's freaking wild. Okay. When she gets back to her room, there is, if I can remember his name, Zayden. Zayden is there. And they have this nice little talk about what happened to her, and how he wants to sit there and kill the first years and Atos. She goes, you can't go around killing cadets, and you're an officer now. And he's like, watch me, I'll do it. She asks what's like at Samara, and it's annoying, and he has to prove himself all over again. And they talk about how he warded it, so against sound and against people, so they have to be holding her in order for her to go into the room. But her and Zayden can go in and out without, the ward stopping them, because Rihanna sat there and tried to come in, which didn't work. Yeah. And she's like, you gotta give me full trust. And then she's like, so Sloane hates me, and it's my fault. You know, Liam's dead, and he's like, nope, Liam's fault isn't mine, and she should hate me. And then he has to leave again, like, super quick. Like, shit. It's terrible. And he wrote her a letter, which is at the top of chapter 11, about how Garrick had always been his best friend, about how his father was his father's aide, how after Liam, Bodhi was still in his closest thing to brother he's had, and she was, you know, ecstatic about it the next day when they went to their flight assessments, I guess, or something like that. I'm not sure. Their flying lessons. She did get letter. Well, before she got a letter, she meets Yesenia, and Yesenia talks about this book she gave her about the first 6, which is not actually the first 6, but it's the first 6 to 5, and about how she's having trouble translating Old Lurish, which is a dead language apparently, and she knows that dead language. And our girl Violet knows that dead language. And then a guy, a second year from Third Wing, is dragged from the Academy building between 2 older riders, followed by Professor Markham. And Justina thinks it's her fault because the rider requested a book yesterday, and she recorded the request. So not all secrets are secret. So later that day, when they're going up the gauntlet to fly, she hands out letters. Now, her letter from Mirror comes in, and she's really happy about it, you know. But then she finds out that her letter has been redacted, like thick black lines on the entire paragraphs of her sister's thing. It was unsealed. So Melgrim, Varish, Markham, her mother, they all could have read her letter and redacted it. So then she finds out Riddick has Terrence said anything about another black dragon. Apparently Professor Kaori spotted it, about dragon being spotted, and of course Terrence I can't help it. Some dragons saw her and they tattled. She's like, so they're talking about this tuck and roll thing, for a maneuver to get off their, dragon while they're in midair, so they can do down on the ground combat. And, Aaron's like, the Dragon Watcher will adopt his request, or I'll have another lunch, because he's not going to allow Violet to do that maneuver. Also, Varish wants to see her Feathertail, which, of course, needs to sleep because it's no longer a Feathertail. She's a black dragon who grew up. And dragons don't take orders from humans, is what she says. And he's like, of course not, but you do. He also talks about, I've noticed he likes you to have your space. Tell me, Sorgan, how do you feel about the way he gives you, shall we say, an easier path to take than your fellow cassettes? If you mean to ask how I feel about how he stopped the needless execution of bonded riders by your dragon after Parapet, then I'd have to say that I feel pretty good about it. I guess it takes one bad-tempered dragon to keep another civil. Bodhi walks her to her dragon because he figured that they were going to be stopped and she was going to be searched. They loaded up Terran with stuff, and they're talking about things. Oh no, this. There we go. Okay, that's better. They're talking about how what she's packing. Just tell him it's raw, because she can't know a lot of stuff. She can't know a lot of stuff, and it's safer if she just tells that. Until she can completely shield from Atos, and she can't know a lot of shit, or she'll be getting the people into trouble. And then he mentions, never seen him care like this, and that includes Katarina, and she's like, who the hell is Katarina? will you pretend to forget that? She's like, nope, I will not. And then Varish comes along and searches her bag and finds absolutely fuck all nothing in her goddamn bag. Okay? And finds out that it was a test because they thought it would happen, but they weren't sure. Yeah. So when she gets there, they find out that there are a drift of grifts over the mountain, and it's always like that. And that she can feel the wards better because her signet's stronger and she's more sensitive to them. And he will not let her go. Will not stop watching her until she's inside the border. So that's what he does. And she literally just walks in and he leaves to go see Sigale. He's like, I'm just a call away. And she's like, yep, no, not doing that. So she goes to Zayden's room, doesn't find him. And then she searches for him with their link and finds him in a fucking weird ass pit. Shirtless. Now, he's fighting someone named Jarrett, another lieutenant, because Lieutenant Colonel Degris says that you want it, you have to fight for it. So they're fighting for the one pass for lieutenants this weekend. And he just wants the 24 hours because she knows she's going to be gone before the 48 hours are. And of course, she's like, yeah, I know he's going to win. And this writer, sister, says, Lieutenant Sterngirl's sister. Doesn't say General Sterngirl's daughter. So she's not compared to her mother in that. She goes, she has one hell of a right hook. She goes, she does. And then the writer's like, it appears Ryerson does too. He does. You sound pretty confident. I am. And of course, he notices, that's when he notices during the fight, that Violet is there. And he gets knocked in the face because of it, because he wasn't paying attention. And she's like, stop playing around and end it. And he says, always so violent. And then knocks him out. And then we learn her name is Cornelia Saheli. And she's like, good job, Arson. I'll tell the major to take you up patrol rest for 48 hours. He says 24. I only need 24. And then they're talking and staring at each other. And he's like, I want to know what's in your mind. I really want to know. And she's like, hypothetically, if I wanted you to kiss me, but only kiss me. And then they kiss. Ooh la 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 la. Spicy hot kissing that they do. Because they do lots of kissing. And then he's saying in his head, we should stop. Because we have to, or I won't be able to keep to the only kiss limitation of your hypothetical question. Fuck. I want you. And that's where I end. They're in a steamy moment. Because I came home. I didn't really want to stop. But I had to cook. And I had to read for Crooked Kingdom. So, yes. That was 30 pages listened to today. And so I'll probably read about another 30 pages. So I'll probably be up to 160, which is about chapter 16. By the time I get home tomorrow. Maybe, because I also have to go to the store. I was supposed to go to the store today. But I didn't have my debit card with me, so I couldn't go to the store today. But, well, hopefully tomorrow I'll remember to grab my debit card off my desk and, bring it with me so I can go buy with some supplies that I need. Because that's a necessity. We have gotten further in it. Okay, well, you can ignore this paper. I just put that there as a bookmark because I moved my bookmark. So, I need somebody like Zayden in my life. I think everybody needs someone like Zayden in my life. It's like, he's like, don't offer me your body unless you offer me everything. I want you more than I want to fuck you. I want those three little words back. I love you. That's what he wants back. And he's like, it's new for me. No one was more surprised than me. But because she was unconscious for 3 days when she got stabbed, he thought about everything he would have done differently, and this is him doing things differently. Also, I think there's something here about the medallion which is the alloy that they can store their energy from their relics into that power the wards. So there's something there with that, and I bet you if they sat there and took the ward stone and channeled the relic power into it, maybe they could make that ward stone at Arisha work. That's just my thinking. I have no spoilers on anything that deals with this besides this series, besides the fact that a lot of people fucking die. A lot of people fucking die. That's all I know. And that Zayden has a lot of secrets. But that's it. That's all I really know. So this is just my guess that they can power the ward stones through the relics, the same way they can power the alloy to extend the wards through the medallion. That's my thinking. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but that's my thinking. But I've also thought, what if hers is extending wards? What if hers is wards? Because she feels the wards so much more than I think others do. So maybe her second relic is wards? I don't know. We'll find out in this one what her second relic is. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that one. So, they're when they get back from their first visit to Samar, Professor Carr and Varish are there waiting for her, and her punishment is to do as many lightning strikes as fucking possible in as little as fucking time as possible. Overheating her. She does say that humans do not command dragons. That includes you. To him. And then when she does it one last time, even though she's got a little injury in her shoulder, she lets it flood. But then, because of the power, her arm cramps and she can't let it go, and she has to kill it mentally in order for it to not to kill her, and lightning strikes several fucking times. And Varsh is like, fascinating. You'll both be indispensable once you come to heal. This is the only warning you'll get, Captain Swearingham. And Carr's like, try to get Indara to make an appearance. Because to Carr, your signet is all that matters. Even though that's not true. So Taryn takes her to a river and dumps her in it so that way her body can cool down. And when it does, Imogen shows up with Issa and Bodhi. Because Glaine was called by... Taryn called Glaine. That's what I wanted to say. I don't know why I said it so weird. Taryn called Glaine, and I guess Imogen was with Aya, and Bodhi. And so they all came. And she talked about how the shit happened. And Taryn's like, tell the humans that I will handle Dragon Man. How he's going to get a feather tail to appear, I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Taryn won't let her do the running landing. And Sloane is losing every single fucking fight. And her first fight is Monday. So, fuck. Ugh, that's going to be terrible. Violet wants to go back to poisoning. Because it worked for her. And then as they're walking to their physics class, they get kidnapped. But they get kidnapped by the RSC, which is the Riders Survival Course. And they're grouped with the top tier infantry cadets, along with the top tier cadets of 2nd Wing. So there's 2nd Infantry and 4th Infantry, which are the top tiers for them. And 2nd Wing and 4th Wing are together, and they have to navigate a forest to get from one place to the next. And because I think Varish I think there's something wrong with Varish, and Carr, because, and Grady. No. Yeah, Grady and, Varish, because, they've made a concoction that dulls their connection and their signet, making riders fucking weak. Why would you make riders weak? What purpose does it have to make riders weak? And it's brand new for this year. When Varish takes over command, why are you making your riders weak? That is like the most negative thing you can do when you need your riders, unless you're Venom, because Venom, so that way they can just, and they also got a concoction to bring it back. During the navigations, they get lost, simply because they realize that they got 2 different fucking maps. And, they should have sat there and listened more. They also ran into Bade, Jack Barlow's old dragon. And she smoked Tomas, which is the squad leader of Second Wing for the riders, because she saved Gwen's fucking life, and went into the infantry's faces shouting, and that is why you don't fucking run. Because Tomas got burnt to a crisp saving Gwen. So when they came to get them in the morning, they were a little disappointed that they did not do shit. At least all but one died. So like, at least all but one of you, died. Which is terrible. So he did get to see Sigel for a couple of hours, which is good for Taryn. And it was only after Bade left, and of course they're already gone, so they miss Zayden. And Taryn's like, we will see them in a week, and she's like, why does every instinct I have scream, we won't? So that's interesting. And we also learned that Zayden's father, Fen, was actually infantry. So, before they be conscripted into the Riders' Course, he wanted his son, Zayden, before he died and got executed for his rebellion, he wanted Zayden to be infantry like him. It's interesting. Then we go to where she is going to go see Justinia in the archives, and that's on 164, which I left off on. So, that's actually chapter 16, which is pretty neat that I'm making some headway. I will probably make lots more headway next week when I have time off, because there is over 600, almost 650 pages to this lovely book, 637. So we're making some progress towards that. And that's all I gotta say for this one. I am very interested in what's going on. As you can see, I am definitely tabbing. It's a lot of purples, but my tabbings don't really have a rhyme or reason. I'll pick one color to tab for like names for people who are introduced and everything. Even if they die, they're still tabbed. And then when I run out of that color, I'll choose one next closest to that color. So like if it's dark and dark, I'll do dark and dark, like the dark purple. On this, I don't know if you guys can see it, probably not, but there's dark purple, and then there's a little lighter dark purple. There's a lot of purple in there, but purple is like right now currently my favorite color for some reason. So yeah. That's what I'm doing. And there's some blue in here, and some pale pink, I think, and that's about it. But I keep saying but a lot. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it very well right now, and I'm so eager to get into listening to more tomorrow, and I can't wait until I finish it, and so I can buy the new one and go on to read Onyx Storm sometime next year, obviously, because my TBR for this year is already picked out for December. So yeah, 2026, I'm hoping to get into Onyx Storm, and I'm hoping the 4th book will come out sometime before I read Onyx Storm, so that way it's already there and I can already just scoop it up. But she was going to take a break, so I don't know when Rebecca Yarros is going to get back to this series. We'll see. Okay. It's been a couple of days, I think, since I've updated you on this and everything. So, here we go. Alright, okay. So, she goes to the archives and she's talking with, Violet is talking with her friend Jacinia, and she finds out that Jacinia has put in stuff about Wyvern, about the folklore that she talked about. Well, of course, not recording it. Put in a quest about fables across to see if they could build a comprehension, and then she puts it together. That their archives are incomplete either by ignorance or by intention. Which, helping her could get Jacinia killed. And then she's like, I need the most comprehensive text you could have about the first 6 built the wards. Because that's what she wants. But she wanted the fables so she could read it, I guess. So then we pass on to Monday. Because, Sunday to Monday. And we are on the Salone's first match. And, of course, Salone's losing. And Salone's losing. And of course, Violet uses our dicey powder when combined with an early dose of ground lily belly to disorient someone for a minute, maybe 2, depending on the dosage. So she did that. She blows the powder into Dashi's face because she gets her down on the ground. Well, Dashi gets Salone down on the ground. And she uses that chance to do that. So, yeah. Dashi loses only because of Violet. And Violet's like, I did it for your brother. Because I took him out. And then she's like, so, here's the deal. You're going to train with Imogen every day that Imogen wants you to train, doing whatever the hell she wants you to do, and I will give you one of the 50 letters that Liam wrote to you. Otherwise, you won't see them. So, and then she's like, I think Liam would approve of this, because you're fucking losing, bitch. And you're like, if Malik wants to see, if Malik's willed that I join my brother, then so be it. Fuck that. And she's like, he made it on his own. And Imogen's like, no, he didn't. Violet saved his life during war games. He fell off Deed's back, and it was Violet and Taryn who flew after him and caught him. Yeah. And then she's like, Imogen's like, truthfully, you're fucking clever. Way more clever than I gave you credit for. I bet you keep him constantly annoyed. How glorious. That is kind of glorious. So she gets the unabridged history of the first 6, which is classified, and that's not helpful. And the sacrifice of Dragonkind, which is also not helpful. So because Adarna didn't show up to the flight maneuvers, Zayden was on 24-hour duty in the operations center, and she didn't have clearance, so she didn't get to see Zayden at all for that time. Imogen says Bodhi can't keep moving maneuvers for our section, or more teachers than Varish are going to notice. Taryn is going to the Imperium about Andarna, but absolutely nothing can be done until she wakes from the dreamless sleep. Anyway, which is a few weeks. So we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with the Imperium and what they're going to say about Adarna and the fact that she was a feathertail. Because it's just the way it is. So, when she goes into Battle Briefs class, Rhiannon gives her a beware of strangers seeking shelter. In this time of unprecedented violations of our sovereign borders, we count on you, our border villages, to be our eyes and ears. Our safety depends on your vigilance. Do not take in strangers. Your kindness can be killed. Could kill. Okay, so it's more geared towards Venom, but Markham spins it as geared towards Promial citizens who are trying to flee, which is really interesting. So it says we will take people in, but that, we have to sit there and vet them. And then you find out later that they actually just kill the civilians. They don't even fucking care. They don't kick them in or anything. They just kill them. And they could be killing their own, family and friends because of the unification of the 6 provinces that make up Navarre, which is big, because that's just like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 provinces, 6 provinces, because it's Tirandor provinces, and of course it's Premium that's having that issue, people come in and Varys is just an asshole. So she gets really upset. Alec gets really upset because Scraps can't be trusted. Anything that Markham says can't be trusted. And everything he says is like a lie, and she knows it. And then she just goes ballistic, calling down lightning everywhere. She runs to the archive on accident, and she talks to Justinia. Justinia gives her another book, but she literally says, Saturdays or you'll get us caught. Zayden, of course, arrived early. She's reading books, so she has to return to Justinia, but she finally comes forward because of him finding out about the books. And she admits that she's looking on the wards for Arisha to see if she can't, do something about the ward stone. And he gets upset with Brennan, and it's just like he's like, I'm going to kill Brennan, and she's like, why? Because he's more forthcoming than you are. But she's got to be able to hold her shield in order to be able to get the mind reader not to see things, because Atos can see things. But she wants to help. She really, really does. And, of course, she's talking about her friend, and she's like, I don't trust your friend. No, I want to see your friend. And she's like, the hell you are, And then they step out, and there's Rhiannon, Riddick, and Sawyer. Sawyer shows up a little bit. And, she wants to know if they can come to Shantara, which I don't remember what that is. James being an ass and saying she's busy, and then they have a mind argument. And when Sawyer shows up, he's like, what the hell's going on? And Riddick's like, I think they're fighting. And Rihannon's like, they're not even speaking. And they're not, because they're doing it in their head. And she's like, sorry guys, I'll do it in the weekend after. For Samara. And he's like, I'm going to come with you to see this person so I know whether or not I can trust her. And she's like, fine, come along, but don't scare her off. And then, of course, he says, you need to tell me stuff like how Varys pushed you to near fucking burnout, or how you wheedled in the middle of the courtyard after battle breathe. These things I need to know. So, yeah, she's like, Then they were across Nolan. Now, Nolan is waiting for somebody. And he says, which I think is important. I'm unsure if I got to the part where they expose the importance of it. But Nolan says it's hard work mending a soul. Been at it for months now. Now, what does he mean by this? Granted, by the time you see this, I've already figured it out and everything. But at this point in the clip, what the fuck? I don't know. I really don't. I don't. So they meet Justinia. Justinia talks about, the vagueness of everything. Because she doesn't know whether or not she can trust Zayden. And Zayden doesn't know whether or not he can trust her. But, she's like, maybe we should shift to something about the history of wards in general. And she's like, give me a few minutes, I have an idea. And of course, Zayden signs, thank you for helping us. She's like, you can sign. Then looks at Violet and goes, you speak Tirish. One is far less common than the other. Justina gives 2 and returns her book, of course. And he's like, gets all upset when he finds out about it's the fables of the Baron. And that he's like, Justina could have used that to get you in fucking trouble. And she's like, I could use the fact that she's not recording my request to get her in trouble. Trust goes both ways. And then we get to the part of the holy fucking shit of a dog. Shit. Okay, so the dragon doesn't, Adarna doesn't appear. And Varsh is like, well, okay. I am charging you with dereliction of duty for your dragon's refusal to appear for movers. You will mount and fly to your training location with Professor Card to receive your punishment. And they're like, that ain't happening. And Rihanna comes up and goes, what's going on? And he's like, obviously, her first punishment was enough to teach her your subordinates, squad leader Matthias, so she requires another. I don't owe you an explanation. He's like, now mount up for maneuvers before you're punished alongside her. And Karen's like, there will be no punishment. It is not within your power to summon a dragon. And then, of course, he told that to Varish. And Varish looks at Violet and goes, your dragon may not fall under my commands right now, but you do. So unless you like to further explore the delicate space between burnout and death, you will mount and present yourself. And then Terran's like, even the smallest dragon does not answer to the most powerful of humans, which you are not. And Darna does not answer to you. I do not answer to you. And he's like, but you, pointing at Violet, answer to me. Does she? He says. And then he lunges forward and snaps Solus' neck in his grip and just crunches down on it, but not killing him. And Varsha's like, oh, fuck. Because I'm like, hello. Only a rider can be the vice commandant of Gaius, says Terran. Without our dragon, you are no rider. And then he's like, Varsha's like, fine. She will not pay a price for her dragon's refusal to attend. And Terran's like, not good enough. This is about you. And he's like, alright. Humans have no authority to summon dragons. Apologize. It's like, okay, it's changed because my space got full and then I got a little teaved off that took 10 years to move things from one spot to the other, but we were in an exciting part where Terran was killing into Solus and making Varish apologize to Violet for trying to command and summon a dragon. He makes it like he makes Varish say, it is not in my authority to summon any dragon. Like, dude, that's true. You should have known that. Shame on you for fucking trying to summon a dragon. And he's like, see? Problem solved. After making him do it on the ground. So, yeah. And then, it's time for her to go to Samara, and she and Rihanna, or Rhea, she likes to be called, are walking to her dragon, Terran. And Rihanna's trying to get information out of her about what happened with Varish, between Varish and her, and why that is the way it is, as well as, more information on what the fuck happened during the battle that she took part in that killed Soleil and Liam. And so they're talking as I pass the gauntlet, and Rihanna's like, I just don't think it's worth the lives it costs. Most of what happens here isn't. And Violet's like, it is. She's like, I know it makes me sound callous and everything, but watching Aurelia fall, she thinks it makes her a better rider for having been there, having watched her fall to death, and know that if I didn't get her ass moving, she was going to be next. And she's like, Rihanna's like, that's horrible. And Violet's like, that's out there. Everything out there is horrible. Like, it's what's waiting for us. She's like, everything we do here makes us tough enough to last out there, which is worse. And she's like, you don't know what's out there, so you can't understand. And she's like, well, of course I don't. You won't talk to me. Like, you're locking yourself up and you're hiding. And Liam was my friend too. And so then Violet trauma dumps. Without actually saying a whole bunch of shit, she trauma dumps about what happened with Liam and the battle and Day, and knowing that Day was dying, and that when Day died, it was taking Liam, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with Liam, but he was still dying because Day was dead. And she's like, you weren't there for all that shit, and all of it. She's like, everyone who's like, we'd all be dead if I had stayed and mourned Liam's death instead of putting his body down and going out and doing what I need to do, having already seen a whole bunch of other people fall and die thanks to the gauntlet and threshing and presentation and everything like that. If I hadn't gone through all of that stuff, we'd all be dead because I would have mourned Liam's death and we'd all be dead. It's just like, that's what it does out there. And then she almost tells Rhiannon the truth. And she's only stopped because Solis's rider, Varish, is there. And with his 2 cronies searching her fucking shit. And he's like, yeah, that shit. So when they get to Samar, Zane's like, you have about 2 seconds. He's like, I'm going to have to force your hand, and I'm sorry. And she's like, what else is new? And Zane's like, you have about 2 seconds to decide if you want to talk. One time to talk in private tonight. And she's like, I'm not sure you want to be alone with me considering what I'm carrying. Choose. Yes, of course I choose. I want to talk to you in private. He needs to tell me, even if it's just for show. Tell me to kiss you, even if it's for show. So she's like, kiss me. And, he says, I missed you, and then they're kissing. And of course, they still have a talk while they're freaking kissing and all that shit, because they can communicate in their head. And, they get so into it that she just wants him, and then they get interrupted, because Mira, her sister, goes, put my sister down, Rorison, you made your point. Yeah. She's like, so, they still have this little argument going on. And then he's like, I'm gonna take, your things up to my room. And Mira's like, oh shit, you're not just fucking him, are you? You're falling for him. And then she figures it out a little bit at a time. You're in love with him, aren't you? She's like, you can't know that just by possible. And then she's like, let's go throw knives. So then they're throwing knives, and they're talking about regulations and how they're fraternizing, how she's fraternizing with an officer, but it's more than that, because, he's got a relic from being the rebellion's kids. And then she asks how RSC is going. And she's like, we lost Ryder in the first exercise, 2 maps. Yeah, it's a mindfuck, but that's not what I meant. She's like, you're worried about the interrogation, aren't you? And she's like, yeah, they're going to beat the shit out of you. She's like, I live in pain. I'm not worried about that. She says, after war games, RSC is when most second years die. And I take 1 or 2 squads at a time for exercises, so you don't really notice the increase in the death roll, but it's there. If you don't break, they can accidentally torture you to death, and if you do break, they'll kill you for it. And so she's like, wow, really? And then he's like, when did you have cherish diagrams? He's like, well, Zayden made them for me, gave them to me. She's like, I won them during a sparring match last year with him. So yeah, you pretty much gave them to me. They look custom. She's like, they're me. They're for me, And then she's like, thinking, she's like, Mira's a shield. She drags the wards wherever she goes. And then she starts talking about the wards, and Mira actually tells her a little bit about wards. She's like, they're woven into the ground out at Samar. She's like, think of an umbrella. The wardstone is a stem, and the wards take the shape of a dome over Navarre. But just a little umbrella spokes are strongest at the stem. By the time the wards reach the ground, they're too weak to do much without a boost, provided by the alloys and the dragons. And it's like, it's how I stored in the opposite tug some of those umbrella spokes forward, extending the wards twice as far as they normally reach in some cases, right? And it's they're trying to get more. But she's like, how do you weave new wards? Like, if we wanted to protect places like Essence. She's like, you don't. The extensions are what we weave. And then she's like, asking about her signet and how that works. She says, I kind of pull the wards with me. Sometimes I can manifest on my own, but I have to be close to an outpost. She's like, keep throwing your daggers to something somebody's talking. So she, like, makes a ward around a barrier around them while they're talking so nobody can hear. She's like, why are you asking for information? You know? And she's like, curious. And she's like, right. Speaking classified, you were on a mission. And she was asking about the Promish cities that were being damaged. She's like, nope. But I saw one of the riots who did the flying with Tian and I were out on patrol. So, she's like, what's going on with you? And she's like, I just think it's weird that you wouldn't know anyone on missions into Bromel. You know everyone. And how do you know that what you saw was one of the riots tasked with the reconnaissance? Because there were Dungeons and Dragons in the distance to the south, over the border. What the hell else could have been in Violet? She's like, what if it was Raven? And she's like, that fables. And Mira's like, you have to stop spending so much time with those fables. She doesn't believe Violet about the Wyvern because she's never seen him before or met the Venom, so she doesn't know. Which makes me wonder what was fucking redacted in Mira's letter that they didn't want Violet to know about. Why doesn't Violet ask Mira about that either? That's another thing. So Mira's asking her, why are you doing what you're doing? And she's like, no, I've just not been sleeping very well. She goes, that explains it. She says, I can recommend great teas that will help you along, and you need to get to bed. She's like, I got duty in a few hours. Because she's got a patrol flight while Zane's in the operations center above her clearance. So Zane slips into bed, and she admits she was... He's like, we had an incident earlier. Zane's like, and she's like, Mira? And she's like, no, she's fine. It's just that some civilians trying to cross the border and the infantry wasn't pleased. They killed them. Happens all the time out here. Just doesn't get briefed up by Skyeth. Lie back down. Mira's fine. She's like, so Violet confesses that she almost told Mira that she wanted to be on her side. She's like, I don't have anyone who knows who I really am anymore. The guy considered my best friend nearly got us killed. I'm keeping secrets from Rihanna, from my sister, from you. There's not a single person in this world I'm entirely truthful with. And Zane's like, I haven't actually made it easy for you to trust me. I'm still not making it easy, but you are not an easy people. What we build together has to be strong enough to withstand a storm or a war. Easy isn't going to give us that. She's like, I should have told you I was reading about the wards. But I didn't tell you because, and Zane finishes it for her, because I don't tell you everything either. You put it between us on purpose, gave yourself a secret because I wouldn't share all of mine. And he's like, you're allowed to have secrets. That's the point. I prefer they not risk everything I've worked for, or your life, but yes, I'm still not happy about the scribe, but we're not fighting tonight. I just need to know the important things. I want to withhold information that could change how you make decisions, and I ask the same of you. She's like, how long will you hold on to the weapons for? And he's like, I won't be with Drift for another couple of weeks. So he asks how it goes with Irish. He's like, Terra nearly ripped out Celeste's throat, which worked for getting under and out of maneuvers, but may end up causing me bigger problems in the future. He's like, we'll keep an eye on the situation. I'm slightly worried I'll kill Irish if he pushes you to burn out again. And she talks about the weaving book and the strips of fabric. He's like, just thought it might keep your hand busy. So it's like, it's Tirish culture. And I thought you might like to weave knots in the book. And he's like, I can already weave all the knots in the book. And I wanted you to explore. And she's like, fabric is a culture of violence. Do you have nightmares about resting? Is that why you can't sleep? She nods. You know, she says, I dream about Imogen who dies, Eric Garrick, or you. You know. The millions of ways they could have lost. And she's like, tell me something real. And he's like, I know who you really are, Violet. Even when you do keep things from me, I know you. I'm still not strong enough to keep you out. And he's like, I'm not a good measure of your skill. Because it's like, you will always be able to find me, even if my shields are up, just like I'll always be able to find you when your shields are up. You can't keep me out permanently, like you can't keep Andarna and Terran out permanently. It's impossible, but you can keep other people out. So then she asks what alloy is made of, and he's like, an amalgamation of tellurium, a few other ores, and dragon eggshells. So he's like, you love me. She said, stop reminding me. I thought we agreed not to fight tonight. He's like, maybe you're not the one I'm reminding. Oof, 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 oof. So she's realized that rolling dismounts will most likely be the death of her because she sprained her freaking, dislocated her shoulder from it. And so, so they're talking about how they could get it healed, and she's like, I put my name on it, but no, I was like I told, he wouldn't have an opening before it healed naturally. I'm going to give it about 2 weeks, if that. And so Sawyer comes in, and they're like, I wonder who's used extra sheet just to teach us, because I saw pretty much most of leadership making a run for the flight field. And then they heard about a battle, a death happening. Well, not just a death. He was called away. One of the professors called away due to attack on the eastern wing. Mason Sanborn, he didn't make it. So Mason is down. So now they're down to 6 people left alive instead of 8 who went to Resin. And that's just like terrible. She talks about how it was possibly an assassination attempt during the whole battle that happened and took place. And then they talk more about the unification of Navarre and how their 6 presidents came together underneath it, and how they didn't, they got rid of their culture to make one whole culture. They're talking about sacrifices it made and everything like that. People are talking about how travel was sacrificed, how major parts of a culture were sacrificed, like songs, festivals, libraries. Everything in Tirish had to be changed. The only thing they kept was their ruins because they're too much in their architecture to justify changing. And then Cadet Trebor sits there and says, the books were all translated into common language. Festivals still happen. Songs are still sung. And then the Tirish goes, in what was lost in translation, do you know? Of course I don't know. It's a dead language to all but a few scribes. And then he's like, just because it's not in Tirish doesn't mean you can't walk into the archives and read whatever translated Tirish book you want. And Vargas slaps that down, going, no, actually, you can't. For starters, no one can just walk into the archives and read whatever they want. You have to put in a request that any scribe can deny. Secondly, only a portion of the original scribes spoke Tirish, meaning it would have taken hundreds of years to translate every text. And even then, there are no historical tomes older than 400 years in our archives. They're all 6th, 7th, or 8th editions. Logic dictates history. Things are lost in translation. And Devar, I think it is Professor Devera, she's like, Cadet Trebor, if I were you, I would consider the fact that Cadet Sorniel has spent more time in the archives than anyone else in this room, and that I would carefully consider an intelligent response. And then Rihanna speaks up saying we lost our folklore. She goes, because of she being on the fact of the border, she lost a lot of her not Tirish, but whatever it is she has. They lost a lot of their oral history and everything that they had in that area. So, yeah, they're talking about that. And then they get to fighting. To their, assessments and shit. And, Riddick's like, I really hope I get called to the mat today. I'm gonna move to kick some ass. But I was like, you're the only one. And then they're musing about what was happening in the Eastern Ring, and Dane, of course, says speculation only fuels rumors. And he's like, you finally ready to talk to me, Violet? And she's like, no. We're no longer friends, and I'll be ready to talk to you when the sight of you doesn't make me want to bury my knife in your chest all the way to the fucking hilt. And then she moves away. You can't keep running from me. And she moves even further away. And then Rihanna asks what it's all about, and he's like, he stole something from me. And she's like, seriously? He stole something from you? And she's like, yeah, he did. And then he's like, I want to fight, So he goes to Professor Immaterio and says, I want to fight Violet Sorrengail. So he calls up Dane Atos against Violet Sorrengail, and everybody's trying to sit there and say she's wounded, she can't fight because of that. And he's like, I'm going to do this regardless, because it's my right as a wing leader to do that. And he's like, you can keep your knives if it makes you feel better. And so they do this little fucking fight dance. And he's like, you're faster than you were. And she's like, yeah, Zayden taught me some shit. And, you know, he knocks her to the ground and he's like, I just want to talk to you and I just want you to leave me the fuck alone. She's like, it's not an idle threat, Dane. You will bleed out on this man if you even think of taking a single one of my memories. And then he's like, that's what Ryerson meant when he said Aspen. And then he says that I only saw a flash of the memory. That Ryerson told you he'd gone to Aspen with his cousin. Second years don't get to leave for that kind of flight, so I told my father. I know you were attacked on your way there, but I had nothing to do with it. You said, I'll miss you. And then you sent me to die, sent Liam and Soleil to their deaths. Did you know what was waiting for us? He's like, no. I said, I'll miss you because you chose him. I told you I knew things about him. That he has reason you don't know about to hate you. And you still chose him. And now I was saying goodbye to any chance of us on that field. So that's his excuse for saying I miss you. Instead of it being more of, I know you're going out to your death, it's more like, I won't have a chance to be with you romantically. Which, of course, Violet says it's bullshit. You know, don't expect me to believe that. And then he saw there talking about his scars. So 107, the marked one's responsible. So, like, do you know who carved those wounds into his skin? And, yeah. She's like, no, I don't really want to know about that. She's like, you may have been my oldest friend, my best friend, but that all died the day you violated my privacy, stole my memory, and got Liam and Soleil killed. I'll never forgive you for that. And then he tells her her mother did it. Carved those 107 scars into Ryerson's back. And then says, she wins, I tap out. Fuck. You know? Ryan's like, walk with me now. And she's like, okay, well, are you pulling rank? She's like, do I have to? She's like, no, of course not. And then she wants to know more about it, right? And she's putting it together, right? Everything is. Who else besides Mason is dead that went to Aspen with you? And she's like, and then she's put it together like, you were. Imogen's been targeted twice since Parapet, so were Bodhi and Aya. Dane has one of those classified signets. Did he steal Violet? What did he steal? She's like, a memory. He can read minds? Read memories? No one is supposed to know. And Rihanna's like, I can keep a secret. She's like, I don't know. And I trust you implicitly, but not every secret is mine to tell. Dane's stole one of your memories, and now you think the other riders with you during war games are being picked off. Stop. Do us both favors. Stop. You know, you saw something you weren't supposed to, didn't you? Is that the memory you saw? No. Shit, I think he's hurt. Well, that's Eric. Who cares about him? So, she's like, I haven't heard the whole story, not from you. And she's like, she's like, stop, don't ever ask me that question again. Please don't make me lie to you. Because she doesn't want Rhiannon's life to be in danger. And so she walks Eric to the healer's squadron, and they get to talk, and he's like, where does your father think you are? Because he's the son of the king of Navarre. He's like, he thinks I'm on my 20th birthday tour doing all kinds of shit. He's like, what part of this isn't fun? She's like, sounds like more fun than what we're doing here. He's up to us. We have a full set of functioning arms, because his wrist and her arm. Then he's like, she's catching on, isn't she? And she's like, they haven't hidden it all away as well as you think they have. It's easy to figure out if you know what you're looking for. Personally, it was the daggers my guards started carrying that tipped me off. The ones with the little metal discs. The guards were the hardest to slip too. They won't tell my father they've lost me until they absolutely have to. I'm just hoping it's after threshing. He can't do shit after threshing. Dragons don't even answer to kings. She's like, oh shit. You know, don't you? He's like, why else would I be here? So he knows about the Venom and the Wyvern. And he's there to become a dragon rider so he can fight against them. Ain't that something? one of the king's sons knows, and he's just there. Oh. Then we get a dream, which I don't think is necessarily a dream. I think it's the, one of the Venom trying to get to her, like the sage trying to get to her, and he's like, you know, why are you running away the same way all the time? Same failed tactics. You have all this power at your fingertips and you're not using it properly. And he's like, there is no escaping me. Fight me and die. Or join me and live beyond the ages, but you will never escape me. Not when I've waited centuries for someone with your power. So there has to be a sage getting into her dreams and trying to get her. I don't know exactly how in the dreams he's going to be able to physically get her. But, he wants her because of her powers. Now, here's the thing. Which power is he talking about? Because she hasn't gotten her second signet yet. She's got her first, which is lightning, but she hasn't gotten her second signet yet. And I know it's supposed to be manifesting. I know there's supposed to be like a bunch of fucking clues in Fourth Wing and in this one, and then nobody put it together. And I don't know what it is, so I'll find out, because I know we find out in this one what her second signet is. But yeah. So when Xaden comes up, guys, he actually wants to show her, but the Basgiath Forge, where the luminary is that forges the alloy they use to keep the wards going and everything. But they get interrupted with Varys standing there in the way, and he's like, I found her. And so they're kidnapped for the torturing part of the session of their life. You know, the one that they have to pass. At first, he's fighting with her and trying to stop Varys from taking her, which is dumb. And then he's like, I'm not in your chain of command, but she's no condition to be tortured, because, you know, they're not supposed to take people who are already injured for the torture sessions. And he's like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to do this. Varys is like, I don't give a shit. We're doing this. And she went to Sigel to make sure he backed off. And he's like, violence. Remember, it's only the body that's fragile. You are unbreakable. And she repeats that as they get led away. She's given a phrase that she must protect. And then they're led into a room. And they said, have a seat. And there's biscuits and drink. He says, well, we won't have an opportunity once we enter the scenario. Also, there's a patch for grabs if you manage to escape. Though, from what I hear, no squad has managed in the last decade. And Rick's like, as good as ours. He's like, that's good, having confidence. And then they're locked in. And so they're talking about stuff. And they're like, okay, so why, are we, like, Sawyer's like, I'm wondering if we're having company. And it's like, Violet's like, statistically, 5 second years are alive in each squad at this point. We lost Nadine. So, Ron's like, we're not losing anyone else. She goes to grab a mug. Smells like apple juice. They're talking about stuff. So, pick a secret and a secret and share it with the group. So she says, last year, while we were at Montserrat, Violet and I snuck out to see my family. Then I think Sawyer says, I didn't tell my parents I had to repeat. They didn't even question my first letter this year. They assumed that Rider Quadrant cadets couldn't write for the first 2 years, and I let them believe it. I just didn't want them to be embarrassed of me. Riddick says he's terrified of snakes. So Violet's like, I'm in love with Xaden. And they're like, that's not a secret, so tell us something else. And she's like, why can't ours be the same? She's like, still can't do it. So she's like, our infantry is killing primary civilians at the border. And they're like, no way, that can't happen. She goes, it is. And then she goes to take a drink, and she smells what's in the mug, and she's like, stop, don't drink it. She's like, it's the same stuff they gave us for the land navigation course. And so they're trying to disconnect them from their dragons, and they're still dull their signets. So they say, fake it. So that's what they do. They fake it when the teacher's like, Grady's like, we're always in a scenario. And then they all get chained up. Riddick, Sawyer, and Rhiannon get chained up like so, okay? And then Violet gets chained up like so, because that's what they wanted. And then 2 people come in, and they just start asking questions about what they want, and then they wail on Violet first. When none of the others talk, they wail on the others to get Violet to talk. And when that doesn't happen, they leave, saying, we'll let you think this over when we come back. So they disappear. So they agree that they're not going to turn against one another, because that's what they're going to do next. And then she asks Xaden what time it was, and he's like, almost midnight. And he's like, don't ask no questions, you know what happens down here. And he's like, I do. And she's like, sometimes we still have all night to go. So then the guy who was doing the torturing, which is a writer, goes, who's thirsty? He's like, it's right here. Who wants it? Just tell me a secret. You don't even have to tell me you don't have to even give me your secret. You just have to tell me one of their personal ones. It doesn't count as breaking. It's just a personal detail that doesn't mean anything. And he's like, fuck you. And, you know, none of them agree to do it. And then Varish comes in saying tight-knit group, aren't they? The guy goes, they are, and he's like, doesn't someone usually give a personal detail? But no, things like they do. I'm guessing that's how they earned this last year to, you know, their Iron Squad patch. So we're gonna do something different. Right? This is Dane comes in. So I believe y'all know Wing Leader Atos. So Dane is there, and Dane's like, I'm on my way. And Violet's like, you can't do shit. And he's like, he's advocating for her, like Ryerson said, a Wing Leader should, aren't you? And then Dane's like, regulations state that riders should be healthy before beginning interrogation assessment. Cadet Sorgiel is clearly not healthy. And Virus is like, such a rule breaker. Religious says should, not that they have to be. It's more realistic that a rider would be wounded when captured. And he's like, what am I doing here? Dane's like, testing a theory, but while we're waiting for our guest to arrive, you should practice on her. And that's when Violet puts together that Varish wants Xaden to come. Because he's testing the bond-blocking mixture. And she's like, don't fucking come, okay? Can't do that. And he's like, you want me to? And Varish is like, yes, use your signet on her. Only to draw out the secret phrase, of course. My signet is classified. And she's like, she told her friends. So it's not like they don't know. Of course, they didn't know. Only one who knew was Rhiannon. Reddick nor Sora knew about his memory thing. So Varish told them the secret, not Violet, okay? And then he's like, Dane's like, I'm not doing this. And he's like, then who are you going to practice on to extend your ability past recent events? He's like, we're running out of civilians around here for no one to mend. And if you think she hasn't told the rest of her squad your little secret, you're giving her far too much credit. But the thing is that she only told Rhiannon. She didn't tell Sawyer or Reddick. She only told Rhiannon. And the only reason why she told Rhiannon is because Rhiannon wanted to know what the fuck was going on when they used to be tight-knit in 4th Wing. You know? And Varish continues. You know, this is what your signet is made for. You're the first line of defense. You need to sit there and see. The truth is, waiting, Wing Leader. We need to know. You know, you could see what really happened the day that the 2 Marmors were killed. You can learn what it is she sees in him and Xaden, why she chose him over you. Don't you want to know? All the answers are right there. You just have to want to reach for it. And Violet's like, no. And Dane's like, no. I will not participate in an interrogation assessment of a cadet with a prior injury. And then he walks the fuck out. She also figured out that while Carr is her teacher, Varish is Dane's. So, he's like, that was anticlimactic and disappointing. Fucking rule breaker. Fucking rule follower. Back to typical tactics then. And then he sat there and smashes a hard fucking punch into her dislocated shoulder, knocking her the fuck out. So when she wakes up, Nolan is there to heal her. He's like, the Vice Commandant called me in to heal you so he can shatter you again and again until you break. I'm on order to remain in the antechamber for the rest of your interrogation, which he's extended until tomorrow. And Sawyer's like, is that normal? He's like, no. He wants whatever it is you know, Violet. Is it worth holding on to? She goes, nods. Is it worth watching your squad mates torture? She nods again. I think I've had my head buried in other matters for too long. Why don't you walk me to the door? So they walk to the door, running far behind, and he's like, you better find a way out. He whispered before speaking to Nolan. I'm done here. So Nolan leaves, and he says, I'll close it, and Rhiannon and her duck down so they can think about it. I've been thinking about my other patient, Nolan had told him. I think I might have overlooked something. Why don't you come and see? And he's like, you think your session is failing? Yep. I think I've done all I can. And he's like, I'm not going to sit there and waste my day because she's sleeping. He's like, fine, we'll go. We have to be quick. The others are fetching breakfast. He said, by all means, let's make it fast. Then they leave, so she think they're alone. And so they try. So lesser magic doesn't work on the door, but Sawyer is able to melt the hinges on one side of the door to get them out, right? And then they run into the second room and they equip themselves with everything that they can, talking about how they should totally leave and become badass thieves. They can't get the door to move. And then her dagger, one of her daggers, is prickling and warm. And so she pulls it out of her sheath, bumping against the door handle, and she brushes her thumbs over the decorative pommel. Metal clicks against metal. And we all turn to look at the lock. The door fucking unlocked, and she's open it. So, Alloy holds magic, and it connected with the magic of the lock, and she was able to unlock it because of the special alloy. So, that might help with the words, maybe, in, Aricia. We'll see. We'll have to see about that. And so they fucking escape out the door, and then Professor Grady, who's sitting on a chair, goes, well, this is an unexpected delight. And Rhiannon sits forward, lifting her sword, and puts it into attack, saying, we'll take that patch now. So now they got a new patch. Because they fucking escaped. So, they find out that they've had, the interrogation system has now taken 2 second years. Caroline Ashton walks up and goes, we want to know how you did it. And they said, look, all we can tell you is the same advice you've already been given. Don't break. Stick together. So when they go in there, they find a sheet of paper talking about Zoila falls to Dragonfire. And, of course, they don't know whether it's real or not. Because but they do know it was printed here for public dissemination. Doesn't mean what's on it isn't real. But it also doesn't mean that it is. So they don't know if it's real or fake. Of course, Professor Markham's face blotches up on it. And Caroline Ashton runs out of the room. And he's calling for attention. Now, I've been a bad girl. And I have read ahead. And I'm going to explode on you guys for just a second, okay? Because he talks about how, like, we need to sit there and focus on something else instead of what this is. This is fake. Deflects it. Does all this stupid stuff for distractions. He said, I wasn't sure this day would come, which is why I hope that you'll forgive us for keeping the months of Colonel Nolan's hard work a secret. We didn't want to disappoint you if he could pull it off. What was arguably be the greatest achievement of any mender in our history. He was crushed under the weight of a mountain a few months ago, but Nolan has mended bone after bone to return him to your quadrant. Jack fucking Barlow is alive. He mended Jack Barlow's soul. And Jack Barlow definitely wants to kill Violet for probably killing him. So, yeah. Technically, I'm on page 253, and you find out that fucking shit on 254. Oh my god. Rebecca Yaros, why didn't you just keep him dead?
Hey guys, so
I'm almost about 50% away through this book, and I am so excited for that. Like, you guys have no clue how excited I am that I am almost 50% of the way through the book. I think I only need to be, like, 37, I think it is. 337 would make it about 50% of the way through the book. And that's, like, this much right here. I am going to be listening to more of the Audible, but I listened to a lot, and a lot of shit has gone down in that time. Like I thought when I sneak peeked, Jack fucking Barlow is back because Nolan was mending the shit out of him. And of course, after she learns that, she learns about the attack on Samara a little after sundown, where there were 3 people there. And out of the 3 people who defended the outpost successfully from a drift, Xaden was the only one that was wounded. And of course, Xaden being wounded means that there's a possible chance of Sigel being wounded, and that overrid Terran's everything. And he just pushed into Violet, and between Violet's thoughts of Xaden and Terran's thoughts on Sigel, she had to go. So she immediately left Battle Brief and fucking disappeared, okay? Of course, Bodhi cans her his flight jacket because he figured she wouldn't stop for her own, and which was true. By the time they got there, they saw some forms of battle. Samir, she's like, I have to go to Xaden. And she's like, damn, you ain't supposed to be here. Yep, things are in trouble. Yep. So she gets to where Xaden is, and he's battling with Bodhi. Not Bodhi, but Garrett. And they're fighting. Of course, Xaden beats a snot out of it and says, why are you here? She's like, I don't know why I'm here. I have no fucking clue. And he's like, well, this isn't you. And she's like, I know that. I can't get him out. So he drags her into a room, showers her cold to force Terran out, obviously. And she's like confused, saying that, like, why am I don't understand why I'm here. I just came, and you're always so calm, and you're not even hurt. And he shows her that, yeah, he almost lost his arm. Which arm? Right arm. He almost lost his right arm. So obviously he was definitely hurt, and he's like, well, that must have gone out. The scribe's report must have gone out before the mender arrived from the eastern wing. And he's like, dude, if you hadn't gotten hurt, I would have left my post as well. And I would have gone for you. Like, you don't obviously understand how much I'd be gone for you. And they have sex. Mind-blowing sex. Yeah. And then he goes to a drop. She goes with, Terran is very disappointed in going, but he goes anyways. Serena's there with her drift, obviously. And then there's this woman glaring at her, which Violet doesn't understand. But we do learn it is actually Katrina, whom he had dated at one point, but stopped dating. And Katrina was trying to size up Violet to see why he wanted her over Katrina. Obviously, the stupid woman that she is doesn't understand that Violet's got something she don't, which is, her fucking fearlessness. I mean, like, shit, that woman is, like, unhinged in her fearlessness. And then she finds out what Viscount Dakaris wants, which is, he swears he'll let us take it to Arisha if he can see you will, but of course it's not all. He doesn't know if he's like, I don't know if I can trust him to stop us seeing you. He's known for collecting precious things and keeping them against their will. So that's why they haven't made the deal with Viscount Dakaris about the Luminary, was because of that. And so she talks about everything that happened while he was gone, including the fact that, no, not that. Talk about how the Zoila battlefield got leaked, or how Nolan spent months saving Jack Barlow's life, or how Varys punched the shoulder of Asaka during interrogation after Dane refused to use the signet on me. They tried using this new elixir that does connections to our dragons and our signets. She's like, yeah, if I can get my hand on the solution, I can probably figure out an antidote, or Brennan can. To mention Dane challenged me. I should probably tell you about Eric too. So yeah, when they get back, of course, she's worried about being punished and everything. And then we learn a little bit more about the squads that they've had. Like Vizia. They're doing the Deadly Obstacle course, of course. Tristan's life is gone. I don't know who Tristan was, but Eric and Vizia have made it to top. Salone is barely making it there. Professor Immaterio gives her some hint about how she could survive what happened by saying, like, I would suggest that to the favorite study that she stresses the undimmable bond of her legendary battle dragon and forget perhaps strengthening her mental shields could have saved her from such a rash decision when it came to departing without her leave, but I also hope that another favorite student where I would have such a thing would be teaching you stronger shield techniques so it doesn't happen again. So yeah, she almost makes it to her room where she wants to put away her dagger, and Varys is like there, and he searches the bag, but there's nothing there. And then he's like trying to pin something on her, saying like, oh, you're impersonating somebody because you have a flight jacket on. And then Professor Carey comes around and goes, did I just hear you order your aides, or whatever it is you're calling them, to strip a cadet? And he's like, she's in violation of Article 7, Section 3, which states that impersonating a commissioned officer and violates, like, actually, it's 2. And it says impersonating a commissioned officer is a punishable offense, not wearing someone's flight jacket. As you can see, I'm not wearing anyone's name tag, nor am I claiming to be anybody else. Which is true. She's not claiming she's Bodhi or Ryerson. She's claiming she's Violet Sorrengail. So, what do you want from her? What do you want? And he's like, he's like, and since when do we do search cadets' bags? Since I took over as vice commandant. This doesn't involve you, Carey. And he's like, nevertheless, I'll be staying. Power must always be kept in check. Don't you think, Major Varys? And so Varys is like, are you accusing me of using my power where this cadet is concerned? Colonel Carey. Oh no, I think you abuse your power in general. I'll have that flight jacket. Of course, she tried to get Rhiannon's notice, so that way something could happen, because, like, the dagger can't be spotted, obviously. And, of course, when she hands it over, but she can't stop not doing it. Of course, there's nothing in any of the pockets. And he's like, Her tag name clearly says Sorrengail, and I note 2 of her squad patches. Doesn't seem to person anyone. And then she's due to be curtailed for departing campus without leave, and Carey's like, oh, that explains it. You haven't talked to Pancheck this afternoon. I turned in my expert opinion that Sorrengail not be punished for what was clearly the choice of her dragon. Her very powerful, very worried, very mated dragon. Pancheck agrees. She's clear of all charges. So for some reason, Immaterio and Carey are sort of on her side in this. Don't know about Pancheck, but they're definitely keeping Commander Varys at that. And he's like, Varys is like, I'm sorry. And Carey's like, we can hardly expect a second year to shield out the overpowering emotions of her dragon when even we struggle as officers, let alone a one as strong as Taryn. And he's, maybe you struggle. Some of us do not bow to the whims of our dragons. In fact, we influence them. Well, that's certainly a theory to contemplating. Kira says, but odd. Would that mean you influenced Solus when he set fire to that squad of bonded riders after Parapet? And Virgil's like, we're done. We're leaving. He's like, either way, you be careful. You've made enemies. So then Rhiannon shoves Violet into her room, shows off the knife, says, since when you can do that? I was like, well, no, I can't. Well, now I can, but what is this? And so she finally confesses that it's for killing Venom, and then she tells them fucking everything like she wanted to from the very beginning. With Riddick and Sora there, of course. Sora. So they check with the dragons to see if they know. The dragons do know about the venom, but they're not allowed to tell people who don't already know about it. So obviously they couldn't tell their own dragon riders about it. That's how long they have for it. She tells them that some say a year, some say less, a lot less. And then Sawyer, of course, during all this conversation, they stick together. We don't run, Sawyer says. And Mary's like, the four of us stick together. So they're like, one question, what do we do? So now she has people helping her research. Riddick found something out that not even Violet Sorrengail knew. Lyra's and Warwick's journals are here, at least according to the classified ledger in your mom's office there. That's what he was going to suggest they steal, is probably the ledger. Because, that's valuable. But then they found the map, which of course is what they stole. So, Lyra's and Warwick's journals, they are the first 6 who built the ward stones. And that's what they've decided that they're going to steal. So they have to find the vault. And they have to get in there. So they've decided that they're going to do that. And they're going to have Zayden help. So what happens after that is that we get to the whole threshing. Which of course, thanks to Varish, they have not seen each other in a very long time. Because they've stopped them from flying from Samara to and from Samara, obviously. So Vizia bonded a brown draggertail. Avalyn, Lynx, and Baylor all made 2. Eric also bonds Misha. I don't know if they mentioned Misha. But Salone has a red dragon tail. So there we go. Ark is now bonded, so now his father cannot do nothing to stop him from being in the Rider's Cordon because he is now bonded to a dragon. Justinia has found the vault, but she's never actually been to it. So now they have to find a way to it. So when Violet goes to relieve Aya, they're attacked by several four-grown soldiers of the infantry who are being paid to do this. And, she knows right who. But Aya doesn't live. Violet is thrown off the side, but she's holding on. And he's like, it's just money. Just die, But, of course, somebody shoves a knife through his spine. And then it turns out to be Jack Barlow. And Violet thought she was going to die. But Jack Barlow saved her. For some reason. So he's like, I didn't know it was you, but I heard screams, and well, riders don't die at the hands of infantry. She's like, I killed you. You have a right to throw me off this tower. He was like, yeah, well, the death was kind of a second chance for me. You don't know who you really are until you face down Malik. So the way I see it is, I just gave you a second chance to, we're even. And he's like, okay, now I think I owe him 2 lives. One I took from him and the one he just gave me. So, yeah. Now they're down to 5, right? Bodhi, Garrick, Imogen, Zayden, and Violet. Yeah, they're down to 5 who have done it. So now Zayden finds out about Riddick, Sawyer, Quinn, and Rhiannon knowing all about everything. Quinn was told by Imogen, obviously. And then he finds about Eric being put into it. Obviously, Eric already knew about the venom. Well, that's the reason why he was there, trying to become a dragon rider. And about how they're going to go steal this book. But apparently, what Violet didn't know was that Xaden killed Alec, which is Eric's older brother. His name is actually Camden, but yeah. And he's only on board of getting into the royal vault because he's stealing from his father. That is literally all that is. And they do make it to the royal vault. Justine can only lead them so far, but they do make it there. And of course, they knock out the people. And Eric goes through, pulling Violet through. And that's about where I left off. Oh, Alec was... Okay, I'm reading ahead. And I haven't listened, and I shouldn't. And I've already read ahead about a few things, and I know Violet gets captured. Because she has a journal. And I really shouldn't have. But there you go. That's what I've read so far. I'm probably going to listen to more soon, so I can get through this big chunky of a book. I'm almost halfway through. And I can't believe it. I technically think I should be more than halfway through, because it's like, the one I'm listening to is 11.5 hours. And then there's a 9.5 hours after that. And I'm almost in the 11.5 hour part 1. So, yeah, I should be, but I'm not. Anyways, I am a terrible person. I quit updating you. But then again, I stopped reading the book because I was doing other things. But I did finish it before November ended. I did finish it. So I'm happy to say that I did make my quota for November. Yay! Okay. And I finished it. And the reason why I stopped was like I listened to it one day when I was off from work for a whole entire week, and that's half the reason why I stopped listening to it. I would clean my bathroom because it was just dirty as fuck, and I listened to like 3 to 4 hours while I was cleaning that bathroom. So I did get some reading in that day, but then I was like, oh well, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and I can't get distracted with this, I can't get distracted with that, and I just put it off to the side. So, you know what, the last 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, I'm just gonna binge read 11.5 hours. No, 11 hours worth of binge reading. So that's what I did. Okay, that's what I did. 11 hours, split in 5. Technically a little bit more on one side because I went and cooked, and I listened to like 6.5 hours of this, and then I was like, oh, I'll just listen to the rest the next day, which I did. I did it. Never mind that I waited until too late to do it. You know, it was like 10 o'clock at night when I got done listening to it, and I was supposed to be in bed at 9. But we won't talk about that because I'm a reading addict. So I might not have been reading this, but I was reading something. What you ask? Fan fiction. I'm sorry. It's easy to read it on my phone. It's just something I do. And I think I've told you guys that before. It's something I do. So, sorry. But shit did hit the fan. Many people who are probably listening to this probably have already read it. So, yeah, shit did hit the fan, guys. I got into all the fan shit. Like, oh boy, the motherfucker did ever. Okay, so, they got the books. Yay, Xaden took one of them, which was Warwick's diary. And she had Lyra's, right? And so, she runs into Nolan as they all separate to make sure that nobody guesses that they did anything bad. Ark obviously went to go get his hands healed in a different way, so that way they wouldn't know that he did it, right? That he stole from his dad, right? Yeah. So Nolan comes up and says, "Hey, Violet, that was you. I was getting some later when Jack told me he saw you out here, and I remembered that you're on my mailing list." And then he's like, "It's your favorite, if I remember." And hence the lemonade over, which was not lemonade. Well, it was lemonade, but it was drugged. It was drugged with a drug that takes away their ability to reach out to Taryn and to reach out to their signets. And yeah, when she figures that out, she hears the footsteps of Barish. He's like, why could it, Sorengale, what have you gotten yourself into? Because she has a cream satchel instead of black, which, obviously means that it's a scribe satchel and not her satchel. So she wakes up. So they're they heard two guys talking, two people talking, a guy and a girl. One was saying it's not our concern, we follow orders, and no one's like it is until she finds out. So she's in Caldeer, we have a week until she's supposed to be out. Violet tries to reach out for Taryn and realizes she can't, and then there she is. Major, your prisoner is awake. So Varish has him and wants questions. No one's there to try to get him out of her. He want to do it the gentle way. No one asks the questions, she gives the answers. Of course, Nora's there. Nora can tell the truth, whether or not she's telling the truth. So she's kind of fucked on that end. Right, okay. So she can't tell full truth. She's got to do half lies, half truths, half lies, to be able to get around it. So she's got to wiggle her way around. And then when Nolan's little methods don't work, Varish starts torturing her. Now, we don't see all of the torture scene, but we do see most of it. Yeah. In the next chapter, Liam's there, and Liam says, Malak sent me as a kindness. I am where I'm supposed to be. And I'm here for you. And he's like keeping her steady, keeping her straight. Then she realizes that Varish is trying to drag Rorison in so he can torture Rorison and get information out of Xaden, because he thinks Xaden's hiding shit, which of course obviously he is, but he wants it out of him, so he's trying to torture it, I swear I wasn't yawning before I started recording this, and it's really fucking pathetic. Anyways, she realizes they're setting a trap for him, of course. She sits there and says he's not gonna come, and Liam's like, he's coming, you just gotta give him a little while. And then they talk about Sloane, and then Dane's called in, and Varish goads Dane into taking memory. And so Violet lets him have the memory of Resin, the fight of Resin, and of her life. And Dane's like, use up to your smuggling weapons, selling weapons to aid another kingdom. And she thinks, oh shit, we're done for, we're done for. And she's like, I'm sorry I failed you. And Liam's like, you never failed me. We pulled you into our war. If anyone's sorry, it's me. And Varish is like, as you should be. Varish is being pushed to go because there's ordering all leadership for something, and we don't realize what that is until later. But then Dane takes a dagger from Varish and says to Violet, you should trust in me, and then turns around and literally stabs Varish. Yeah. And then Dane gets him out. Dane gets her out, and they go rushing up. They run into Xaden, who's killed everyone on his way down to get to her. And she stops Xaden from killing Dane. And they go back, and Violet, with the help of Xaden, pushes the dagger into Varish and officially kills him. So yay, Varish is dead. I'm very happy for that. Like, you guys have no idea how much I was just like, the torture he put her through, it's just like, I'm so glad he's gone. Dead. Gone. Bye. Bye-bye. Xaden is all for leaving immediately. So isn't Garrick. So isn't Dane. But Violet's like, we gotta give them a choice. We have to give them a choice. So they go assemble the whole Rider squad, right? Because she believes that they deserve a choice because they're riders and they're gonna be out there in the front line, right? But before that, as they're going up the stairs, Lilith Sorengale comes out and wants to talk to her daughter. And they talk about what she was doing for her children. And she's like, talking about how she was trying to protect her, and she knew that Markham had chosen wrong, that Violet was not who Markham thought he was, and that Violet was just going to be different, and that she was trying to save Violet from Markham and the lies that would have been driven to her, to where she would have betrayed Navarre, but so that's why she put her in a writer's quadrant. But she still betrayed Navarre, but sooner than what she thought. And she's like, it's like, why do you think I put you in the writer's quadrant? And she's like, because you think less of a scribe. And she's bullshit. The love of my life was a scribe. I put you in the writer's quadrant so that you'd have a shot at surviving. And then I called in a favor of Ryerson owed me for putting the marked ones into the quadrant. So we know that Lilith and Xaden made a deal that was given to us in Fourth Wing, for the writers to be, for the marked ones to go into the writer's quadrant, to be given a chance at living. Lilith agreed, but we didn't know it was actually a deal. She would do that for Xaden, and Xaden would have to do something for Lilith later, and that was to protect Violet until threshing, so that way she wouldn't die. And Xaden agreed. And then come to find out that the marks on Xaden's back is from Lilith, and it's actually a Tirish custom. The custom is something I guess they do for when they have the burden of protecting or being responsible for somebody's actions in Tyrrendor. So they mark them that way, because Xaden does eventually put a mark on himself for Violet. So they literally talk to everybody. They get the memory of Resson, showing that the Wyverns are real, they're there. And when we learned that Bodhi can actually counter signets, he can counter them, which is interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Some of the professors actually defect as well. And there are 6, technically 7 dragon species, but we only know of 6. The green, the orange, the red, the brown, the blue, the black. So, yeah. And then they take the riders that are defecting, and they go for Arisha. Then there's the dream she has with that stupid venom dude. And she's like, you can only hunt me into the wards, and he's easily beyond them, and the longest night has yet to pass. So something's gonna happen. Obviously, we knew that. A lot of stuff happens. A lot of gathering of armies, figuring out what to do, putting people where people are, trying to make deals and stuff. And then a riot comes along, and it turns out it's Mira. Mira says that her mother went to Samara and told them everything, because what Xaden did to the leadership was that he dropped Wyverns at every single one of the outposts to expose the Wyverns to those who didn't know about them, as a way to distract him so he could break into the writer's quadrant at the what the fuck school is it? I know the school's name, I just don't remember it. Basgiath, right? Okay. So yeah, she explained it all. Amira defected to go help out, and then she finds out Brennan's alive and punches him in the nose. It's funny. They have a serious talk, and while she's trying to translate Warwick's diary, which is what she and Dane end up doing, along with helping Justinia learn, because Ginny still goes with her. It's just she thinks she's translated it, and it's wrong, and then she thinks she's translated again, and that one is semi-wrong, because Lyra had the correct information than what Warwick did, because Warwick didn't think anybody should have it, and Lyra thought everybody should have it. I'm just going to go to my points now, because a lot of stuff happens, and a lot of it is important stuff, but it's also world building and preparing for war and training exercises and things like that. Lots of people still die. So she has Mira and Brennan to go with her to go to what's his name? Takaris. To go to Takaris' home to plead for the Illuminati, so they can start protecting Arisha's borders and everything. And of course Aiden's there. And he's like, "You're not where I left you, Violence." And then she finds out through all of this that Kat, who is related to Takaris, and Zayden were engaged to be wed, even though they didn't really like each other. Well, he didn't like her and she liked him. To quote the words, "You don't have to love somebody to fuck them," which is what he did. But she wanted the throne because Tyrandor is technically its own kingdom and Zayden is technically prince or king to Tyrandor. Even though they have Lewendal's son in position to take over, because he believes that he better be on the front line than to be king. But yeah, she wanted the crown. Kat did. She was very, very disappointed in that. So they get all dressed up and doll because they eat fancy like him. This box that suspends animation, suspends something, whatever's in the animation, so it can't touch the ground or anything, pops out of venom. The box used to belong to Zayden's dad. It was a gift to Karis, but it had a venom in him. And so she and Mira fight a bloody fucking venom. Naturally, of course, they do win. And Zayden's pissed, of course. But she's like, you created storms from east of the Dunnes River, the land of the borders of the Barrens, which has already had its magic drained from it. So he couldn't drain from certain places. And there's literal pit. You build a pit for them, which means you've captured more than just that one. The box, of course, belonged to Zayden's dad, so Zayden already knew what the box could do. And so they broke her for it. So Takaris lets them leave with a luminary, but they have to take a drifts with them from the school for griffins, because they have no school now because their school's been destroyed, and they obviously know that they need to be trained, they need to be ready to fight, for what's coming. So the Braden agrees, even though Violet didn't want him to come. Violet does move into Zayden's bedroom, and Kat does become a persistent bug in her little nest. Kat's drift, which is the best at her college, and Violet's riot are put together to work together, and they're literally meant to work together. So they climb up this big ass mountain, trying to work together, because to get there, Arisha's on a mountain, and most griffins can't go up that high because it's something they can't do, and it's hard for them to fly. So there's like these barriers and stuff up this little mountain cliff that they could climb up, not fly up, and it would be dangerous for obviously griffins. So most of the traps were disengaged, but they did run into one that was still engaged, but they didn't know where the arrows came from for the thing, so they had people jumping over it, and Dane was there to, ensure people knew that. Well, one of the flyers falls off along with one of the riots. Vizia and another person. I don't remember the person's name. I really don't. Luell. Violet doesn't have either when she goes to grab them because she almost gets knocked off as well. And Luell falls. Riddick gets hit with some arrows. So Luell's dead. Kat blames Violet, obviously, because Violet was there for it. So there's that training session gone wrong. And there's a bunch of other training sessions and shit that go wrong throughout the whole thing. One of them is they're inside a tunnel, and Solus finds them, and Vizia dies because of it. They also have to go through... What was it? They have to get out whatever this petty is. So they decide to hold you can challenge one person, and that one person is the only person that can be challenged. The Flyers can challenge the Riders, or the Riders can challenge the Flyers for grievances against each other. And that's it. One time only. So Kat and Violet fight. Now, Violet and Kat were both trained by the same person, Xaden. So they fight a lot alike. But, Violet does win in the end, using her signet. I think. I don't know. She gets really violent. Xaden says, you can kill her if you want. Don't matter to me. But she's like, stop me. And she didn't like none of the things that Kat said. He heard it all. And he sits there and, makes her have a very good time on his throne and says, I never want her. I don't want her. You're perfect. You're with me. You're everything I want. I want. And tell me everything. Ask me questions. And she's like, have you ever loved a woman like him? And I was like, I didn't. I never did. Yeah. So, and then, we learn that Kat amplifies feelings that are already there, but she can't create feelings. So she can't create feelings of mistrust or hate or anything like that. Sawyer has a question on Justinia and learning how to sign so he can speak to her. She took a vow to be silent. Dane and Violet have a talk, and he's like, I fucked up and trusted my dad when I should have trusted your judgment, and there's nothing I can say or do that's gonna bring Liam back. And he's like, so are you in love with Xaden? And she's like, yes. Then I will trust your judgment on him. And they start translating together. Felix starts training Violet on her signet because she just used lightning blast, and he's like, you should be able to do lightning from your fingertips and things like that so you can control it better. Did you not learn how to control your stuff? And she's like, no, I'm just a fucking weapon to them at Basgaia, so they just train me to go big or go home. And he's like, oh, well, we have to go this small. Of course, people are still dying left and right, What happens next is a lot of other stuff. So they actually get called out by Milgram. Milgram wants to team up because Samara is supposed to fall, and they're all like, nope, we're not doing it. One of the training sessions, they get a wyvern attack, and they kill them all. Well, this is where Solus finds them. I'm a little out of place with a bunch of stuff because it's what I remember doesn't always go hand in hand for what actually happened, because I know it happened, but I just don't remember exactly where in the book it happened, but I know it did happen. Like, I know for a fact Amalgam came and they wanted to have them fly out there because he saw that the Samara would fall and that Navarre would be without its wards and everything. Oh, right. And she asked about his second signet because he didn't go crazy because Sigel bonded with his grandfather. And so, yeah, direct descendant. So he's a type of Intizik who can read intentions. So, yeah. And he kept that to himself. So he could read intentions, and he did read Violet's a lot. And then he promises never to do it again because she doesn't like it. But she does ask him to use it on Melgrim. And he's like, yeah, okay. You know, he didn't want people to try and use him for bad shit. Or anything like that. And when she finds out how to raise the wards with the dragon's breath, she uses the 6 dragons, but she's like, I'm sorry to say it. I'm glad, Cat goes, I'm glad I'm not stripped of my powers, but I'm sorry to say that there's something wrong with your wards. Of course, while they're talking to Melgrim, Brennan comes out and he says, when all 3 of your children turn against you, perhaps the time has come for self-reflection. This meeting is officially over. So, yeah. And then she talks to Mira and Violet and says, there's something wrong with your wards. Lilith does. You need to fix them. Warwick lied. I just know. I checked your Wyvern. They had brown stones, black stones, or some other stone, and these ones had onyx stones which had runes on them, so the ward stones are not true, and actually Wyvern came and being reanimated on the cliffside. So Warwick lied, and now they have to retranslate it from Old Lyrish to figure out what fucking was wrong. And then they makes up a rule that they can't argue in the bedroom. He's like, you want to know everything? Done. I will tell you every fucking thing. She asked about his mother, and she's like, she left when I was young. Their marriage contract survived to the age of 10, and then she was free to go, which is what she did. I haven't seen or heard from her since, which is kind of sad. The signet appeared not long after the shadows did, and he'd already seen Card kill another first year for reading minds, so when it hit, he held his shit together and went to Sigale. Yeah, and so, yeah. It does say, I lied my ass off. It helps that writer of record was thought to be a great uncle, not my grandfather, which was what did it. He had 2 new daggers for her made that she got to have, and then the translations into the thing was done. And then they get word during a battle brief about Samar and those who are going to attack it. And trying to figure out why they weren't going to go and protect him. So she says, should the wards at Samara fall, what would happen? They'd have a direct line to the hatching gun. No, that portion of the wards would fall back to its natural distance, about a 3 or 4 hour flight from bad skies, just like ours. The power supplies in the outposts extend the wards, they don't create them, so while a large piece of Navarre would be underprotected, and that's when she stops, and she figures out what's going on. She's like, oh god, and then we gotta go now. So she leaves with 50 or so dragons to go save Bagai's Wardstone, because, they have to. And so, they head out there, explain to Lilith, Sorengale what's going on, and they have to draw a battle plan because, fuck, everything's happening. And when they get to the Wardstone, because Lilith doesn't believe them, there is 2 dead guards and Jack Barlow with Bade in the Wardstone room. And he literally sits there and commands Bade to destroy the Wardstone and then kills the Bade. And that's when we realize Jack is Venom. And the concoction that they made to strip them of their abilities to connect with their dragon and to connect to their signets also stops Venom from being able to draw power from the earth, which is what they were doing with Jack. So no one was really trying to mend the venom out of Jack. Because technically right now there's no cure. So, yeah. That happened. So, Brennan fixes the Wardstone while big ass battle is going on. They almost lose Rhiannon, but they don't. You know, big ass thing. Sawyer loses a leg, which is terrible. Terrible. And then, you know, also what happens is Xaden fights against one of the sages, a general. While Xaden is fighting the general, Violet is trying to fix the ward stone, bring it back up. And she asks for, what is his name? I don't ever remember his dragon's name. I wish we had like a list in the back that told you everyone's name and their dragon's names. But she went up to Melgren's dragon and sat there and said, oh, Koda, whatever his name is, that we need them. And then we get to the fact that Darna is ahead of her own den, because she's currently the only one that we know of that exists. She's a 7th type of breed of dragon. Don't know what the fuck her actual scales are, because she can make them whatever scales she wants, whatever color she wants them to be. On top of that, she waited 650 years for Violet, who had the mind of a scribe, to enter the rider's quadrant to become a fucking rider, so she could hatch and, well, bond to her and bring back the wards for Baskaya. Yeah, so there's that. That's just so fucking interesting. And Darna, well, actually, Violet tries pouring all of her powers of Terran's and whatever she can access of Andarna's into the ward stone to activate it. Her mother, Lilith, pushes her out of the way and makes Salone, who's a siphon, to siphon out the life of Lilith and her fucking dragon. Alright? Both her dragon and Eric, who is, you know, the third son of the king, choose Violet's life over Lilith's. So, yeah. Aimseer's power. She's like, you're everything we dreamed you'd be, all 3 of you. And I'll get to see him soon. It's kind of sad. You know, she dies. But she goes to the man she loves. So the wards are back up. And all that's left is her mother is her ward stones now. Because, you know, she's now dead. And Aimseer's dead. But they saved him. And she goes to Xaden. Finds out that Xaden's okay. Melgren wants us to come back, since the wards are there. Ursha's wards are already weakening, and these are intact, which you'll explain to me later. He's like, it's safer for you here. This is where you should be. You won't be scared under the full wards. Just fought entire army. You know, Dark Wheelers, raise wars, lost more in the process. Tell me what it is. Me. And he turns, and you find out he is a Venenum. And then it goes to chapter 66, which is about him fighting the general Venom and how he was dying and losing, and he pulled from the ground to Sigella is extremely pissed off, like, you cannot, I chose you, but Violet chose me too, and he reaches for the ground and takes the power from it. And he becomes the Venom. And he goes and talks to Jack Barlow about it. It's about the antidote and for it. And he's like, there's no way of getting rid of this. It's like, there's no cure. You can never give back what's taken. You will only hunger for more. And he's like, I'd rather die than become one of you. And he's like, you just did. All this time you've been convincing everyone you're the hero. Now you'll be the villain, especially in her story. Welcome to our fucked up family. Guess we're brothers now. Oh my gosh. Like, fucking A. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? I can't wait until I can get to read Onyx Storm. To be honest, I can't wait. But I do also want to wait a little bit because there's a bunch of shit in Onyx Storm that I just can't wait for. But at the same time, the 4th book isn't even being written right now. We don't even know she's writing it. We don't know when that's coming out. And if I read Onyx Storm, I'm going to be like everybody else who's waiting for the 4th book to come out, anxiously waiting for it. And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to read it immediately or not. I don't know. I've already drawn my TBR for January, so I already know it's not in there. And it's going to be a little while. Probably February. Or probably February. I'll be able to draw to see if you about getting Onyx Storm. But it's just really frustrating, you know? It's just straight up fucking frustrating. Oh, that it happened. Okay, so my favorite character in Iron Flame. Gosh, that's a little question. Justinia. I would have to say Justinia, but because she puts herself in just as much danger, it's just as much risk for her life and everything, because she knows there's something going on, and she knows something's wrong going on, and when she starts learning about everything, she puts her faith in Violet, knowing that she cannot fight. The only thing she can do is translate and describe things. She cannot physically fight, but she puts her faith and her trust in Violet and the people that Violet trusts. The people that Violet says, here, these are the people you should trust. And I hope she's falling for Sawyer. I hope that Sawyer and Justinia are able to be together. Rebecca Yarrows, I'm asking you, please give Justinia her happy ending. She is a fierce, non-combatant warrior, and she needs her happy ending. And her sacrificing her life as a scribe at Vizcaya to become labeled a traitor because she trusted Violet is huge. It's monumental for a character like her. I know she's a background character, and I know she survives because obviously it tells you she survives. That's the only person we know that will survive out of all of this, because we don't know if anything else will, because of the text that starts here. The following text has been faithfully transcribed from Navarian into the modern language by Justinia Nailwort, curator of the Scribe Quadrant of the Skyeth War College. All events are true, and names have been preserved to honor the courage of those fallen. May their souls be commended to Malik. So, Justinia is the curator of the Skyeth War College in the Squad Quadrant. So we know Skyeth survives. We know the Scribe Quadrant still exists. We know this because that's what Justinia did all that. Okay? Justinia did that. So we know she survives everything that fucking happens. But we don't know if she's going to survive. I mean, if Sawyer, whoever she falls in love with, I hope it's Sawyer, will survive. That's what we don't know. And I hope she does. My most disliked character, this fucking General Sage that has turned Xaden into a Venom, who wants to turn Violet into a Venom. I hate him. I hate him. I know he's not the one leading the whole fucking Venom army, because somebody is. We just don't fucking know who yet. We haven't met that person. But I hate him. I'm glad this general's dead. But I hate the fact that there's somebody still out there that's going to try and turn Violet into a Venom. The Sage, whoever he is. And if I find out that it's like, oh, I don't know, Panchek, Melgrim, that's actually the fucking Sage, I'll go ballistics. I'll go ballistics, because we obviously know you can, while you're inside the wards, draw power from the ground to become a Venom, because that's what Jack does. So there's that. What stood out as memorable? that Andarna's signet hasn't manifested now that she's no longer a Feathertail, or that it has, in that the clues are all in here and you still don't figure it out, because I don't even know. But I'm not actually trying to guess, to tell you the truth. I'm more of the if I figure it out, I figure it out, because I have somebody who knows what signet is, so I can just like throw all my guesses at that person, and I'm like, just tell me yes or no, if I'm right or wrong. Because it'd be nice to figure something out that nobody else did before I even get to Onyx Storm. Which I gotta ask her about one of them. Can she control people? Can she ensnare people? Make them do what she wants? Is that even something? Because it's stated by Felix that she commanded Xaden. So can she command people to do things? Compel them? Is that her signet? I'm just wondering. Anyways, my favorite passage. Okay, I don't know. There's so much shit that goes on in here. I don't know what my favorite fucking passage would be. I really don't know if I have a favorite passage, because there's a lot of shit that goes on in this, and it's just like I did a lot of highlights for words people said than I did for things like that. That's a terrible thought. That ain't definitely not gonna be something I want to sit there and say is my favorite passage. Yeah, Vizia dying, totally. No, not it. That no. Not the cliffside with the Wavering. Not that. Holy doom. I guess while I'm thinking about it, my favorite quote is actually, maybe Dune put me here as a kindness. That would have to be my favorite. My favorite quote that Liam tells Violet. Because it shows that Malik's great. Malik's wonderful. Did she forget the whole fucking experience? Or is she never going to tell nobody about it? I think I'll choose this as my favorite passage. It's like, I love him, and I'm ready to give him the words, the power that comes with them, but I can keep them for myself, chant them that they are my own personal codex, the only truth I'm certain of. That would be my favorite passage. What I thought about the ending of the book? Jack Barlow should be dead. Nolan should be bashed up against the head for the fucking bullshit he pulled. And Zane should not be a Venom. Poor Sigale. Poor fucking Sigale. What book did it remind me of? I don't know. I don't know a book. Of all the books I've read back here, you guys tell me, which book should this? I hate when it doesn't give you warnings for low battery. I had low battery. It quit. It died. This book is part of a series called The Imperium. There are who knows how many books can be in a series. We've got 3 so far, with the 4th one on the way someday in the far-flung future. So, yeah. This is November 2025 book that I read. Okay, I read this in 2025. It didn't come out in 2025. I think it came out in 2024. Last year. No. Well, this edition came out in 2025. But it came out in 2023. So, yeah, 2023. So, yeah, I read this in 2025. Okay? Okay. So, I rate this a 5. Because I want more. I'm really sad that my December reads were not Onyx Storm. I'm really sad that my January reads are not Onyx Storm. Maybe February will be Onyx Storm reads. But then again, I might have to wait 2 years. I'm probably going to read that before 2 years is up, but 2 years. Oh my gosh. Probably going to have to wait 2 years for this fucking book to come out. It might not come out until 2027. Can you believe that? That's so long from now. And I've also can't read Onyx Storm until this type of edition comes out, because you know, this lovely spine, this lovely stuff here. I want this type of edition for Onyx Storm as well, even though this is what it looks like, Onyx Storm looks like in the hardcover. I want the paperback version of it, because that's what I just prefer. Okay. So if you guys think As ever, like, comment, or your lovely subscription. We're going to go ahead and drop it down below. I will see you guys next solution.